Alright, before the video starts, I just want to say my future ones won't look so pixelated and shitty. That's just because this one I could do on this computer. Once I get my new PC all set up, hopefully they'll be running a lot more smooth and looking a lot better.
Ooh, what's up, guys? We are back, and we're going to be doing a little setup shindig that hopefully will try to simplify uh, everything, like I said. I'm just going to try to use really basic terms. We're just going to throw on the Williams Grove race setup. There's 360 sprint cars. They are at Williams Grove this week. I believe it is daytime. Used automatically generated track state. But hopefully you come away from this video, like I said, thinking, well, that guy doesn't know much, and he's pretty decent, so it shouldn't be too hard for me to do. All right. And like I said, I'll be doing, I'll run like a baseline setup race, and I'll try that, or if I'm in a 410 race, I'll run the baseline setup for qualifying and heats, and then I'll kind of try to take you guys through it and adjust how I would adjust it for the feature, and then we see how far we can come up through in the feature. So for all you novices or people who don't know how to set up the cars or don't have time to set up the cars, you guys think that, the open setup fast guys spend all day in a test session making setups. We don't, or I don't. I haven't met anyone else who does. I just, do that. I got 5 minutes of practice before a race and whatnot. I always just tweak my shit there. So, this is the iRacing default setup for Williams Grove. All right. First thing, I run max tire pressures on every track, which this basically was, except for that little 1 point. I don't know why. It's one thing that everybody else does, though, like I found out. I don't know why. I run max tire pressures at every track all the time. Um, Stagger, one of the more basic things, is just basically how big your right rear tire is. The bigger it is, the more your rear end's going to want to turn around. So loose. I'm just going to use basic terms. Loose, tight on all of this. So more, loose, less, tight. All right, that's all handling. Steering boxes, peripheral, pit arm length, never touched offset. Front toe in. And sometimes this changes on what you have, the rest of the car at, but you can only like raise it a certain amount. And when I mean raise, I mean go more positive. But I think more positive is tight, and lower, like the higher negative number, is looser. That's how I use it. Like I said, the other thing is some people, like I said, I learned a lot by just being in races and hearing what other people say, but you can't always trust what other people say. Not that they're trying to steer you wrong, just they're wrong, you know? There's been a lot of times where I've heard someone who's like, I don't know, back half the field who's like, oh, I did this adjustment, my car's running a lot better now. When it's the wrong information completely, If it's not from a guy who's fast, or one of the top 3 cars in the server, take the advice with a grain of salt, Just be wary about it. And I almost forgot, when Lima Land comes out, I'll show I'll show everything about my setup for Lima Land. So once that comes out, the whole first week of whatever sprint series is there, I'll completely go through what I want from my car, and I'll be completely open with my Lima Land setups as soon as that comes out. So hopefully that helps people. The other thing is, if you do find a setup, you tweak something and you're like, oh wow, this got me like a top 5 finish. Don't just stick to that setup thing and be like, you still keep adjusting for it. If you're not winning races, yeah, top 5s aren't bad, but don't just stick to one setup and then always, be stuck on it. A lot of the fast guys, they don't just use a setup. They have like a baseline, and then depending on the track conditions and shit, they'll tweak it for more, from a 30% track to a 70% chance, there's going to be a lot of difference. These people are like, oh, go to this website, I find setups on this, blah blah blah. All right, say a new driver uses that, I could give a new driver my setup, you know um one of those setups I run. But if it's not for a track condition and then he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's still running that a tacky setup for a slick track, he's gonna be fucked. And the biggest thing is in dirt is people don't run the right line. That's what I said in my other video. In C class, you learn to race. You learn the right grooves. So here we're at Williams Grove real quick. Generated track. You can see this black line on entrance. It'll be a lot slicker once the race goes on. But you see in corner entrances, you come over here, see this black strip? That's what's going to happen if you're holding the throttle down. So you either want to run above it or below it, or have throttle control. That's more important than any setup, is the certain line you're running. And like I said, that's what I hope a lot of these fixed setups guys will figure out with my channel. So, and the way you see that black line is make sure in your graphics you have render dynamic track data on, and that's how you can see where it's slick and where the cushion kind of is and shit like that. So make sure that's checked on. I never, until I got my Oculus Rift and I was watching a video about its settings, I had it turned off. So that's like my first 3 months of iRacing. I never saw that shit. So, of course, as soon as I turned it on and I got my Oculus, yeah, I was running a lot faster. So I actually knew precisely where I needed to put my right rear and shit like that. So anywho, back to this. So higher, or if you think higher number, more negative, looser, more positive, tighter on front toe in, I believe. Top wing angle, I run, I think, 24 everywhere, unless it's like really slick. Everywhere except linear, I run 24. But this just means, I kind of consider how well your car handles through the middle of the corner. So, if your car is really loose and you're out of control, just have it at 30. Otherwise, I usually throw it at 24, just because I always have. But it'll help handling the higher wing angle, more handling. Top wing position, a lot of people will ask, like, oh, what ring position are you running? That has nothing to do with speed, per se. That's just a handling thing. Same with the wing. It's just a handling thing, really. Like I said, setups, 90% handling, 10% are speed from it. Once you get a good handle in race car, you're running the right line, you will be plenty competitive. Plenty competitive. But wing further back at -10 is tight, forward loose. All right. So when you're starting a race and you have a full tank of fuel, you might want to crank that back a little more. And as the fuel burns off, bring it forward, because your car is going to be really loose because it has more weight in the rear end with fuel. So you might want to tighten up your race car for the first 10 laps of a race or something. All right. Torsion bar diameter and bar stop, they're basically the same thing as I treat them as. They just adjust the ride height. In the front, more positive is going to raise the ride height, and it's going to make it tighter. And that's in the front. And more positive, on both sides, raises it up. So on the bar stops too, more positive raises it up, makes it tighter. Higher in the front end, tighter. Higher in the back end is looser. And same with the front end. Lower front end, you're going to be a little bit looser in the front end. All right. And this is all what I think, people. Remember when I said don't listen to idiots who don't know much? You might be listening to one right now. But yeah. So in the rear end, if I wanted to have, if I was really tight, I'd raise this up because this would put more weight in the right rear and help the car turn more. So looser, higher in the rear, tighter, higher in the front. Bump stiffness, rebound stiffness, these have a pretty good description at the bottom. Tighter under an acceleration is more front rebound stiffness. So that's like corner exit. And then when it says, tighter under braking and turning in, that's I just use as corner entrance. So if you're one of those idiots that is, completely sideways out of the corners and cutting down 3 lanes in the straightaway, you might want to tighter under acceleration. You might want to put more rear bump stiffness. All right, boost that baby up. Like I said, more of my setups are within 1 or 2 clicks of the baseline, then my setups are that are maybe 3 or 4 or 5 clicks off. You know, I've never going off the baseline too much, more than 1 or 2 clicks most of the time. I don't know what this stuff does. I never fuck with this. The shim and the bump rubber rate, never have. Wheel spacing, good, simple. It just says tighter. Higher number on the left rear, tighter. Higher on the right rear is looser, lower, tighter. Fuel, honestly, you want more speed, less fuel if you know there's going to be cautions. You gotta know how many, until they've, fixed or patched the wearing no fuel in their yellows, you gotta know how much fuel less you can put for each caution. And that's if you know there's gonna be idiots in the race, why not? I don't in regular official races. It's not really worth it. The risk of finishing 12th or, 3rd, something like that. Gear, the higher number, the more acceleration, but the less top speed, basically. I usually like to run mine 1, maybe 2 higher than the default. Some people like a really low gear. I like a loud race car. So I think that's it. I'm failing let's just cancel these settings and I don't know. And pass race inspection. I guess that's it. That's all I got. I hope it's really simple. Like I said, I'll be doing more future videos on using the baseline setup and going off of that in actual races. So I hope you guys learned something and can help you guys out, especially a lot of new guys or people who are lost. And like I said, most of it is running the right line. All right. So at Williams Grove this week in the 360s, be above or below that black stripe that's going to be on entrance. 90% of the time, it's on the high side. So you gotta learn where to put that right rear and stick it good in the cushion. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Try this stuff out. Subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this. As always, peace the fuck out.